Welcome to this episode of the Leadership Speak series at L Forum. Today I have the pleasure of inviting an ex-colleague of mine and the CEO of Hype Luxury, Raghav Belavadi. Hi Raghav, welcome to the show.
Hi Raghav, nice to see you. Yeah, I did my BE in engineering, mechanical. And of course, I'm just a regular guy. Even in my college days, so I was not the top of the herd or anything. The opposite of it is the whole of the batch got absorbed somewhere in the campus selection, except for me. So I thought like I must be either way too special or completely there's no for my kind of profile at all. But then those days. A father wouldn't give his daughter if you're not in the US, so I started applying for my masters. Yeah, by the time the masters fever was over my head, I had already got admission, and I was in Penn State for my masters. But then I knew that this is not my forte. Actually, I got picked up by Mr. Ramling Raju by Satyam. So at that time, Satyam was a startup, and I didn't know what is this startup. I knew that it's a small business, and it's a software company, and blah blah blah. I said like, look, I don't know coding. I'm a mechanical engineer. I got into Satyam, but that was not really. I was not coding or anything. I tried to get into some classes where they were teaching B, C++ and C++ way over my head, and they put me into testing. And then I did great testing because I was good at finding faults in the product, anything that they would build. I can be a really mess if I start finding faults in products. And they said like, okay, so there's no future for these guys. And one last attempt was to put him into Japanese class. So we used to have a Japanese lady who would come down and teach Japanese language for us. And then I loved learning languages. As somebody from South India, you know that we naturally learn 2-3 languages by default. We will be learning at some point in Hindi, and English comes naturally. So you're already 4-5 languages on top of it. So Japanese became a very dear friend of mine because nobody else was sitting and eating lunch, dinner with me because I didn't code. But then soon I figured out that in 6 months I passed level 4, then level 3. In 1 year I passed level 2, and I went to level 1. And then Satyam decided that this is way too much speed. So they sent me to Japan. So I became a pretty successful manager. From software engineer, you can imagine that in 2 years I became an account manager, handling Japanese clients. So I didn't handle anything technology-wise, and so was with Wipro in the Dentsu project, and so was with Infosys, as you know, Oki and most of the. I helped them to stabilize clients. I could develop extraordinary rapport with their Japanese clients. I did whatever I did, but then I was never a person who would do coding or anything. My last corporate job was as a global head for financial services outsourcing at Accenture. And even there, was more of a senior leadership role as a group CEO, and you take care of 6-7 countries, 7,000-8,000 people. It's a large account, so more of a client relationship, communication, typical consulting one. So I was based out of Switzerland and Toronto, had a very good run for 6 years. Then again, I think because you asked me the question, like, how do I describe myself? I think there are people on this planet, when they wake up from their bed every morning, if they don't have a huge challenge to chase or a goal to chase, I think they would just get into depression on that day. So my natural inclination, organically, my growth pattern in my career was to get into entrepreneurship. My first startup went bankrupt, not a surprise. And the second one, we did very good, made an exit. But all the way, I lived in Switzerland and most of the times in Europe my entire career. So whenever I came back to India, I wanted to drive decent cars, and there were no cars available for self-drive, let alone be decent cars. So I was really annoyed. And I thought like, well, in today's world, all it takes is you build an app and put some cars onto this, and I should be able to rent cars for myself to find a vendor. We did that, and that was really a simple, silly idea that how we wanted to do that out of Bangalore, which has led us to become a global company today. So that's my journey. So technology was barely there on the outer lines, but my passion was more into communication and creating something. I love creating products. I love making it more customer savvy. I think that passion, that drive has got into this funnel, and somehow I think the natural path was to get into entrepreneurship. That's a great question. I have worked with, let's say I started my learning basically out of college. I think the best takeaway for me after I entered into entrepreneurship was no matter how much you want to jump around, how much you want to be over enthusiastic, over energetic to become unicorn and all of that, at the end of the day, hot gas will go away sooner or later. And that's something that the startup world, especially in India, doesn't understand. If you want to really build a global conglomerate, a global business, you have to look at 40, 50 years from now, because you're trying to build something that doesn't even exist. It's very easy to switch your corporate to an entrepreneur journey when you're in your 20s, because you are exposed to the corporate skin. You have technically no responsibilities, and you can jump and start something, and if it doesn't work, you can get back. You could do all this brick-brack when you're in your 20s. Let's say if you spend 20 years in corporate, and especially in some top management, and you want to switch over, first of all, you're not in competition with the 20-year-old entrepreneur, because that's a different story altogether. When you are in a startup, you are in a street fight. Now, whether you like it or not, so it's dog eats dog, whether you want to participate or not, that's the world we are in, right? So you have to adopt that agility also. You have to imbibe that. I'm a person who would create and break and create things on my own. That's suitable for a startup scale. But I come from corporate where you're not allowed to make too many mistakes, and you have to go, have the reins in your hand. You need to go steady. But now it's your personality against the environment. So this becomes a conflict. So what happens is you will be fighting with yourself on probably very regularly as an entrepreneur. But at the end of the day, that's the struggle. You want to do something, you want to do it the way you want it, whereas your acquired experience for 2 decades are completely different, and your team around you has a problem seeing your holistic picture. Sometimes what happens is you go and break and create problems. You can have all of this crazy mind by yourself, but you need a team to go to the war. So that balance is the biggest challenge. I think it's very important to think big. You might be wrong in idea, execution, anything, but you can not go wrong in thinking big. Thinking big need not be global, don't get me wrong, but I think thinking audacious, as you said, is the number one reason for an entrepreneur to exist. No matter what, the bigger the dream, your purpose, more difficult it is, and you will rub off too many people in that journey. There's a lot more can be learned from people who are struggling to solve a real problem. It could be anything from health workers to the tech project. I think if you take your own self into those positions, connect with them, I think you're doing a wonderful job, because it gives opportunity for people to get that idea from all different angles.
Thank you so much for your wonderful insights, and thank you for your time. I wish you and Hype all success and happiness in the years to come. So thank you for your time, and looking forward to staying in touch.
Like, share, and subscribe to the EL Forum channel. Click the link below to enjoy the full video.